Hi, welcome back to the Armenian Museum. I'm Gary Lind-Sinanian, the curator, and I'd like to share another story with you today. This is a Marquis poster to advertise a presentation by General Mesrop Nevton Azgapetian. General Azgapetian was originally, his original name was Mesrop Azgapetian was a title that he got later as Father of the Nation, Azgapet. And Mr. Boyajian, originally his father was a doctor, immigrated from Constantinople to New York, physician in New York. The boy grew up in New York, so he had an American accent, spoke English fluently. He went back to Turkey, and he studied at Roberts College. He got a medical degree. He became a doctor. As a physician, he moved to Iran and became a doctor in the Iranian military. At a presentation of cannon fire, the artillery was doing a demonstration for the Shah, and one of the cannons exploded, injuring the gun crew. And the doctor saved the lives of the gun crew, and the Shah was so impressed at this military doctor that he made him his personal physician and his aide-de-camp. And then when the Shah needed a consul to represent Iran in Washington, D.C., he appointed Mesrop Boyajian as the doctor, as the consul, and so he became a diplomat stationed in Washington. When he retired to America with his wife Anne, and then World War I broke out. He wanted to help out. Since Iran wasn't really involved in the war, he joined the Russian military as an army doctor, and so he was serving in the Russian front to help the effort. And then the Russian Revolution took place. The whole Russian front collapsed. Many of the officers and the soldiers were fleeing back to Russia to take care of their families. And so he ended up as the highest ranking military man on the Caucasian front. But he was actually a military doctor, not a military man in the sense of a trained soldier. After World War I, he came back to America and began working for Near East Relief, giving talks about the problems, the world problems, and about raising funds for all the orphans. And he and his wife, Anne, were very instrumental as far as going from city to city talking about this. And when they talked about it, often what they talked about was this point right here, at the Chautauqua. We're not sure if this Lincoln Chautauqua refers to Lincoln, Nebraska, or if it's simply a theater called Lincoln somewhere or other that he's given a presentation at. Most people today don't know what Chautauqua is, but this was a very important part of American history at the turn of the century. It started in the late 19th century in Lake Chautauqua, New York. And they began having these lectures, originally with ministers, but then later on other people, writers, all kinds of experts. And so they might be talking about some sort of medical problems. It might be a play, it might be a concert, it might be hearing somebody talking about Mark Twain himself on the circuit, Susan B. Anthony, General Azgapetian or Lady Anne Azgapetian. These people would all be giving lectures. At one point, they had 15,000 different venues around the country of Chautauqua. And it wasn't so important in the big cities because there were lots of cultural events. But in the small towns, this was really important because this was where you got your high culture, was from a theater company coming in or a lecturer, some sort of event. At its peak, it had 15,000 different sites, but it began declining around 1924 because of movies and radio. And so things changed. Before that, you go to one of these events and everybody would go, the poorest to the richest. You hear the General Azgapetian, you hear somebody else speaking or some other event. Then you all talk about it, you all interact. And so it was very good for American society, all this interaction. Unfortunately, radio was rather passive instead. So you'd sit home and you just listen to the radio, you don't interact. And so that began creating much broader divisions in America, which some of them still go on today. But at that time was very important. We have a number of papers of the Azgapetians here given to us by his daughter Araxi Dunn or by his grandson Nevton Dunn, who named after the grandfather. And these deal with all kinds of issues of the talking in the circuit. We're going to be doing an exhibit on Lady Anne Azgapetian, which will be opening when the museum reopens again, and we hope that you can attend and see the show then. I don't want to go into it now because we'll be doing it for the show there. The Armenian Museum is here to share its stories and our history with the public. We thank you for listening and for joining us. We hope you'll join us again.